NoFap is setting you up for failure. And if you go down that path, then I guarantee you, you will still be addicted to porn. If you don't know me, my name is Krishna. I'm someone who quit his porn addiction after years of struggling with it. And I teach the lessons that I personally learned along the way. And I make these videos so that you can quit too and you don't have to suffer as much as I did. So, NoFap fundamentally doesn't work. It didn't work for me. And for a lot of the people that I've talked to, it honestly just made their addiction worse. And I'll explain why. When I was trying to quit my porn addiction, I was trying to behave a different way, which means that I was trying to become a different version of me, right? Someone who wasn't addicted to porn, someone who didn't struggle with that type of stuff. Fundamentally, NoFap, what is it? It's almost like this weird cultish identity that a lot of people have, which is, oh, I'm someone who's on NoFap. What does that fundamentally mean? What is that you saying about yourself? I think that it's a step in the right direction, for sure. But at least for me, that was me when I said, oh, wait, I'm on NoFap. I'm quitting, right? I'm trying to quit this. That was me accepting the frame that I'm still that way, if that makes any sense. That was me accepting the frame that I'm still addicted to pornography when I didn't want to be, right? You can relate to this too, right? You've been addicted to porn for many, many years. You're jerking off 2-3 times a day. And you want to, fundamentally, if you want to quit that, right, then you need to become a different version of you who isn't addicted to, who doesn't struggle with that type of stuff. There's a difference. If you have two smokers, one of the smokers takes the approach and he says, oh, I'm quitting, right? I'm trying to quit this addiction. I struggle with this addiction. I'm trying to quit, right? The other one takes the approach of saying, this is not who I am, right? I don't smoke. I'm not a smoker. Who's going to be more likely to quit their addiction? The one who's still accepting the frame that they are a smoker, or the one who simply changed his identity to the newer version of himself, right? Both of these guys, they go to a party, for example. Somebody offers them a cigarette. One of them says, oh no, thanks, I'm trying to quit, I'm quitting. The other one says, no thanks, I don't smoke. I don't smoke, I don't watch porn, I don't fap, right? It's like that shift in self-identity that I think is huge. It was huge for me, right? And you might say, okay, but this is kind of disillusional, this is not the truth. But the thing is that the person that you want to be is already within you, if that makes any sense. The person that you want to be, he's already within you. He just needs permission to come out. There is a higher version of you who isn't addicted to porn, right? He simply doesn't watch it. Why? Because that's who he is, right? He just doesn't watch it. That's it. Now, maybe that's not part of his whole identity, right? Obviously, because one of the things that helped me quit porn was to focus on other areas of my life, right? Rather than just fully focusing on the addiction. Because rarely, if ever, is the addiction the problem. It's what you're using the addiction to get away from that is the problem. Again, you might say, okay, but I'm not that version of me. Right, well, how do you become that version of you? Well, you need to start identifying with him. You need, at least for me, I had to think, okay, the version of me who doesn't struggle with porn, who doesn't struggle with this addiction, who it's just not part of his life anymore, what does he do? Would he be obsessed with porn all day? Would he be thinking about it? Would he be, I can't relapse, I can't do all this stuff? No, probably not. He probably have other stuff that he's focusing on. He probably have a bigger mission, a bigger goal, bigger priorities than just beating his meat, right? And so one of the things that NoFap does as well is that it doesn't address the root cause of it. It didn't address the root cause of it for me, right? Because it kind of just focuses on solely on these external habits. Yeah, just go to the gym, just take these cold showers. If you get an urge, just do 5 push-ups, bro. And it's okay, there's wisdom in that, definitely, You need to focus on external things. Of course, going to the gym is great, taking cold showers is great. All that stuff is fine. But what's the root cause? Because for me, the addiction wasn't the problem. The addiction was the symptom. It was what I was using to get away from the real problem. The real problem was my trauma. The real problem was the fact that I was going through abuse at the time. The real problem was my poor mental health. That's what it was. It was my depression, it was my anxiety, because I was trying to escape the reality that I was living in. I was trying to get the love that I never got. And that's it, right? That's what porn offered for me. That was the root cause. If I fixed the root cause, if I improved my mental health, if I started learning how to love myself, learning how to be compassionate with myself, learning how to self-love properly, once I started to learn that stuff, I stopped watching it because I didn't need it anymore, right? And also there's this obsession about a streak. It's, oh yeah, I'm on day 90 of NoFap. Oh yeah, I'm on day 180. And it's, you see these videos where it's by day 90, you'll start levitating. You can shoot lightning out of your fingers. And it's like, no, that obviously doesn't make any sense. But the streak in and of itself is not a good measure of how much progress you've made. At least it wasn't for me, right? Because if, for example, you didn't watch porn for 2 weeks, for 14 days, and on the 15th day that you did, a lot of people who, they associate with the NoFap community, they would be like, oh yeah, you just reset your streak, right? Which means that you've lost all your progress. Well, no, that's not what it means, because if you've been jacking off 2 times a day, 3 times a day before, right? And then you get 2 weeks without doing it, think about that increase. 2 to 3 times a day to 2 full weeks without doing it. That's huge. That is massive progress. And you should be proud of that. Even if it's 3 days, right? Even if it's 1 day. Because that is proof, right? That's evidence that you can do it again. That's evidence of the fact that you can quit it. Because, and I heard this recently, which I loved, the very fact that you have the desire shows that you are capable of achieving that desire, or fulfilling that desire, right? It shows you are capable. It does. If you went from 2 to 3 times a day to 2 weeks, 2 weeks, that's huge progress. That is genuinely, literally, it's huge. You should be proud of that. You should be proud of that, right? And it's like, you don't have to quit porn all at once. And rarely, if ever, does it work. It doesn't work. Because think about it like the gym. If quitting porn fully, like just never watching it again, is the equivalent to a 315 bench press, and you're training a complete beginner. Let's say you're a complete beginner, right? Does it make sense for you to load up 3 plates on each side of the barbell and then go and do it if you haven't even bench pressed the bar yet? No, that doesn't make any sense. You're going to fail, you're going to get injured, right? So what do? Well, you start with the empty bar, and then maybe you add on a 25, right? And you do the 25 for a little bit, and then you add on an extra 5 pounds, an extra 10 pounds. And then you add on a 45, you're up to 135 now, that's huge. You add on an extra 5, an extra 10, extra 15, extra 25, right? You progressively overload up to the 315 bench. Because if you were doing it twice a day, 3 times a day, like I was, then even 2 days is progress. It is. It might not feel like it. It might feel like you failed. But the thing is that you didn't. You actually succeeded. Now, maybe you might not have succeeded for an extended period of time, but that's okay, because again, we can just build it up. So instead of thinking, oh, I can't fap ever again, why don't you think, okay, if I fap 60 times this month, twice a day, then maybe I'll just decrease it to 30 times, right? Think about that. 60 times to 30 times is a 50% decrease. You decrease it by half. Think about how huge that is. Imagine if you increased your bench press by 50%. Huge. Huge numbers. So the action step for you for this video. Think about how many times you've watched porn. Think about how many times you've fapped over the past month. And I want you to just decrease it by maybe 20%. If you've done it 30 times, if you did it once per day, well, why don't we just try 25 times the next month, and then 20 times. That's how you actually quit. That's one of the ways that I was able to quit. If you want the actual full step-by-step system of learning how to quit porn, if you think these free videos for you are valuable, then you can click the link in the description down below, and I'll show you exactly how. All right. I hope this video helped you, man. Take care.